Yes, there he is again. The man with the big orange hands of whom you can only ever see the beard. Hello in that context. Yeah, and another China cracker, you saw it briefly in the video for the very crony. Now I'm gonna spill my usual nonsense about it. Usually, Diana. So everything that started with Diana and wasn't labeled with a laser was always really great. Then came the time when Diana was sold and only the brand name appeared on some Chinese junk. And that means everything that was labeled with a laser could always be counted on. Yeah, pretty much crap, to be honest. But then this little piece came along. I bought it again through Egan for a laughable price of, now I have to check myself, I don't even remember anymore. Above all, I should print it out again when I get the chance. It's just getting worse here. What did I pay? I laid down 59 euro gold coins for it. Yeah. First I thought, well, nice, it should be fine. But by now, yesterday I shot this here. I've counted again. In the meantime, that's 11 shots, as always, sitting at 10 meters, resting on a sandbag. Yeah. And I would say for such a China cracker, wowza. Not bad, Mr. Woodpecker. Not bad, Mr. Woodpecker. Since we're already talking about data, I'll do it right here. Otherwise, I'll just forget it again. I feel like I'm in, what's the movie again? Whatever. Winter is already here. So we are in which Diana 21 is selected. View shots. Yeah, and I see here, I think 5.0. I see here 1, 2, 3 times 6.0. And 1, 6.5, 6.6. That's actually really good. We've got a 20 shot here, as always, a high of 172 ms, a low of 163 ms, averaging 167 with a spread of 9 ms. That could definitely be less. But to be honest, if this is what comes out of it, I really don't care. I'm laying it out here so you can really see it. You can see there. It's 11 of them. I had them, I couldn't count them on the target because I couldn't identify 11 holes. I watched the video again. So it was 11 shots that I obviously fired at that. Bung, bung, bung. Of course, aiming isn't included in that. I did that myself. But at least the first hint is that there's a prism rail on top, which is quite important, especially when things shoot this well. You should be able to mount it on the scope if you want to. The stock is made of solid, high-quality plastic, and it feels just like that. It has bumps, so you could also use it in the sink. And I would say overall, or in terms of size, it's designed for the younger shooter. But no, I always take this position here. Yeah, the idea is a bit short. It could be 5 centimeters longer, but it's still in the green zone. It has a very large, nicely shaped, smooth but non-slip rubber butt plate. No cheek piece on the right or left. Yeah, otherwise it's a break-action rifle. There's really not much to say about it. Normally I hold the muzzle right in front of your nose. With cameras, that's allowed, but with people, it's better not to. As you can see, there's a light collector GR in a corn tunnel. I think corn tunnels are good. They ensure that you don't immediately break the GR. The rear sight also has light collectors built in, those green dots. And as far as I can tell, it's made entirely of plastic. You could also say it's plastic. It has plastic wheels for adjustment. It's the classic spring sight. The height inside are adjustable, which I think is pretty okay. Labeling, yes, once the serial number on the casing and once the serial number on the barrel. A bit much actually, but well, that's how it has to be with firearms. But that's not a real firearm. Here the caliber specification is 4.5 millimeters with an F mark. It's important to note that the F mark is not stamped, but rather laser etched. Interestingly, the F mark is only for identification and doesn't have to be permanently attached. Laser etching isn't permanent because it wears off over time. I just wanted to mention that. It's just an identification mark, not an official marking. Designed by Diana, Germany. So it seems they're so embarrassed about the origin from China that they haven't put it anywhere, but probably found some loophole in the law through some kind of import trick. It says designed by Diana, Germany. There always has to be a German importer listed. or a manufacturer, whatever, that Diana logo and the Model 21 actually says Panther on it. I think it just says here. Really need to take a quick look around the corner because there's no light on it. It doesn't really matter if it's written there. I assume it just says model, but in the catalogue it's listed as Panther 21. What a stupid name. Who comes up with something like that? Model 21 would have been completely enough. Unfortunately, this device also has an automatic safety. It's a pain, you can't change it. At least this automatic safety has to be pressed. It doesn't have to be pulled. So you don't have to reach quite so far. Each shot, that was quick this time. So we've actually covered all the external features. The trigger guard isn't really a guard. It's practically integrated into the housing, into the stock. Or rather, it's part of the stock. Which is why there's only one screw that goes directly through to the system. The trigger is, I would say, plastic, just guessed through the gloves, and it's solid, not U-shaped. There are no adjustment options. That's a shame, because the way this thing shoots otherwise, it would be really, really great if it had an adjustable trigger in it. You can also see casting seams here and there. So, similar to model building, you would actually need to start by rounding everything off with a breaking blade and a piece of sandpaper. And I would say let's first deal with the trigger. That's not entirely unimportant with something like this. 21. The cocking works pretty well. So I don't have to hit the barrel. I can just pull down here normally, and then the gun cocks too. Google lock. I have a white sealing ring here. That's something different. It cocks relatively hard, I think. Probably because it's a short barrel. There's little leverage. Still quite a bit of power behind it. We just saw the numbers for 21. Then I'll just shove a pellet in here. Of course, I have to take the safety off first and aim. That's why it always looks so weird here. I have to aim along the barrel, because with the way I'm shooting at this short distance, probably won't even hit the pellet trap. Here, pull is long. Long and very soft, very spindly. From there it gets harder, even harder. And then it suddenly comes, so it's ready. Should I call that a pressure point? It just comes at some point. I can give it another try while I'm at it. So, I'm holding the barrel steady. Ah yes, this thing is modern enough. So I can't relax or test the trigger with the barrel tilted. Another one of those safety features that I find really annoying. I'm trying to play around with the trigger carefully again. Safety, how nice. I always appreciate automatic safety. So, that was yesterday. When I was doing the Crony recordings, I said the trigger was really rough. He's not doing that anymore. So, those two shots, the trigger was too hard in my opinion. But nothing was rough from the pressure point on. Either what the previous owner said was true, that this thing has practically never been shot. I really put it through its paces yesterday and rounded off some corners. And now I have to say the trigger, it's hard. He's definitely not in the first category. That will still somehow belong in the area of direct triggers. But it's clean, so that's fine. You really can't say anything against that. Unfortunately, or rather fortunately, I didn't even check what a new one of these costs. But if I have to give a conclusion about such a Chinese firecracker, for a song and a dance, if the price is right, is that a firecracker? Well, haven't had an air rifle here in the works for a long time that shot like this. So I'm flabbergasted, amazed, whatever you want to call it. It's fascinating. I'm over the moon. Yeah, question is, will this thing stay in my collection? I mentioned before that I have just over 20 air rifles, which means I need to start getting rid of some of them. So at some point in the new year, I will start selling them off one by one. And now the question is, does this thing stay? Does it belong to the things that stay? So at some point in the new year, I will start selling them off one by one. And now the question is, does this thing stay? Does it belong to the things that stay? Because I think that's quite an argument. I can't really say if that applies to all devices and just this one, but it shoots damn well. But of course, on the other hand, the better is the enemy of the good. I have a Coyote here, which shoots like that too, but it's obviously in a completely different price range. I have a Diana 75, I have a Feinwerkbau 300, and I also shoot, I think, the Feinwerkbau 300S. They shoot pretty well. They're former match rifles. So they shoot long and flat like that. But these break barrels are, in my opinion, a lot of fun. When using a match air rifle, always grip the side lever, reload, grip again, clack. Well, I don't know, the effort is always relatively high. The weight of these things is killer, of course. While this here is important, well, I wouldn't say it's nothing, it's not junk or anything. But at least it's something I would think about keeping, just because it's small and fun. That's a competitor. The Diana. Hold on, let me grab it. The Diana, 25 or 27, I just left standing there. This should be the 25, I think. Yeah, is this the Diana 25? You can see I've lowered the chair all the way down so I can be a bit better in the frame. 2001, that's the one. I think it should be the D. Let's put it next to it for size comparison. Can you see it? Yeah, right. Do you not care? Yeah, right. Yeah, so the sizes, the D is just a bit smaller. But overall, not much changes. But, of course you have this. It's been shrunk for 50 years. So it's as practical as silk. And of course, an amazing adjustable trigger from a good old time, Diana. I'll think it over. And then based on some lengthy scientific calculations, I'll decide what I want. Because I know, without that, I don't really know what I want. Yeah. Well, that's that. That was said by the guy who has to turn off his camera all by himself. Because he doesn't have any minions. Yeah, and right away they gifted me this. A whole box of minions, haha. Even with a cookie cutter. I'm going to have to eat all of these now. Oh, wow. The shelf has to go down to the living room. So, thanks for tuning in, says the guy who now has a minion and still has to turn off his camera all by himself.